Are we fancy enough to travel on a princess cruise? We're just normal people with normal clothes. Are our shipmates going to be offended by our plain manner of dress? Are the staff and crew going to look down on us because we don't have that high society look?
In this video, we'll let you know exactly how it went on our first Princess Cruise.
Princess Cruise Lines is known to be a step above Carnival and Royal Caribbean. With the more luxurious cruises, usually comes a bigger price tag and a certain class of people.
We recently embarked on an 18-day cruise from Los Angeles to Santiago, Chile. We are not your typical Princess Cruise clientele. We are somewhat frugal world travelers with a bigger sense of adventure than a sense of style.
Once we boarded the ship, we walked into the luxurious life of a Princess Cruise passenger.
But were we fancy enough to fit in?
Main dining on a Princess Cruise is a pretty formal affair even when it's not formal night. This is where we felt the most judged on the cruise. Right off the bat, the host that seats you would always seem to remember the names and details of the better dressed passengers, but they never seem to remember anything about us.
That's right, and Princess Cruise is known for their medallion network, which is supposed to allow the crew to identify you when you approach them. But when we would go up to the reservation desk, the host never knew who we were. She always questioned us and gave us a really skeptical look. All four of the main dining rooms were laid out the same. In the center, there were round tables designed to seat between 2 and 6 people. And then along one of the back walls, there was a long line of square tables that were supposed to be private tables for 2, but they were so close together you were literally bumping elbows with the couple next to you.
Yeah, we consistently asked for private seating, and we were consistently seated in the least desirable places along this back wall. We understand the space is a premium, but we would always come to dinner after 7 p.m. when it was less crowded. There were always these round tables available, but the staff never offered to seat us there. The waitstaff didn't seem very interested in getting to know us, where some of the more fancy guests were on a first-name basis and very friendly with the staff.
Yeah, one time the waiter was actually clearing the table next to us and talking over his shoulder while he gave us the rundown on the night's menu. It was really frustrating because it felt like we weren't fancy enough to merit his full attention.
Yeah, we feel like if we were wearing the right clothes, we would have had a very different experience at main dining. The room cleaning crew across the board, whether it was our guy or any of the others that we would pass in the hallway, were absolutely great. They always had a friendly smile and a hello for you as you passed by. They never seemed to pass any judgment on you, no matter what your attire was that day.
That's right, I have no complaints there.
The buffet staff wasn't that great in my opinion, but I don't think it was a snub, and I don't think it had anything to do with our appearance. I think that they just weren't the best of the best on the ship. They were either way too enthusiastic, or they were just kind of like calling it in. There wasn't a happy medium there.
Yeah, for the most part we did enjoy the buffet, but it was honestly a really chaotic environment, and the staff didn't seem to do anything to make that less chaotic or simplify things. We would run into wait staff, the bartenders, and other crew members on a regular basis as we passed through the plaza because our room was quite close to this. These interactions were a mixed bag.
Yeah, the folks in the plaza saw us definitely at our most dressed up and at our most casual. And for sure, at times there was some snubbing going on, some status shaming. We would sometimes feel like the peasants of the ship or the lower class that weren't even worthy of a smile as we walked by. There were times where the staff would avoid eye contact with us, but they would actively engage with some of the finer dressed shipmates.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we had some great time sitting out in the plaza, having breakfast, listening to a concert. You know, it's really easy to remember those negative interactions, but we don't want to forget to mention that we had plenty of positive encounters with both the crew and our shipmates.
That is true.
Prior to starting our cruise, I read a lot of online roll call forums, and one of the common topics of discussion was proper attire. I was honestly pretty concerned that we wouldn't fit in with the rest of our shipmates. And while it wasn't true of everyone, we did feel judged while we were on our 18-day cruise. The older folks and the people that seemed like they came from money, they would give me disparaging looks as I walked around the ship during the day wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, we actually had 2 formal nights on our cruise. On these nights, a lot of our shipmates would really enjoy getting dressed up, putting on ornate, sleek, downright fancy clothes. Emily and I, not really being interested or having the resources to join in, did realize that it was a great night to go to the swimming pool and get the pool to ourselves. So on one of these formal nights, after having a great swim, we were heading back to our room, but we realized that we were going to have to go through the plaza and the art gallery where all of the people were gathered with their fancy clothes, taking pictures, feeling special. And we walked straight through the middle of them, wearing our swimsuits, towels around our necks. Emily had on a pair of swim shoes. I had on a pair of knockoff Crocs. Water still kind of dripping from our shorts. And we walked right through them right into our room. We definitely got a lot of looks that night from both our shipmates and the crew.
Yeah, I actually thought that was pretty funny, but I don't think everybody else did.
No.
So, Joe, are we fancy enough to cruise on Princess Cruise Lines?
Unfortunately, I don't think we are fancy enough to cruise on Princess.
Yeah, I think you're right. We definitely felt judged, both directly and indirectly, by crew members and our fellow passengers because we just didn't wear fancy enough clothes like everybody else.
Yeah, this was a little bit frustrating, but for the most part, we didn't let it bother us too much. Cruising for us is a little bit tricky because we don't really like the party atmosphere on like Carnival and Royal Caribbean, but we also don't feel like we're quite fancy enough for the step-up lines like Princess. Do you know the perfect cruise line for us? If so, please tell us in the comments. Hey, you made it all the way to the end of this video. That means you liked it. So why not hit that like button? Why not hit that subscribe button? We're going to be talking about our experience in Santiago, Chile pretty soon. We're going to be going to Brazil. We're going to be going to Peru. We're going to be doing more cruises. We're going to be making great videos. Hit that like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you soon.